Okay, everyone. So I'm recording this on Zoom so you can kind of see two screens. This is just like a quick demo on how to do a 2-object complementary color still life painting. This will be small. You can do it on paper. If you want to do it on the canvas paper, that would be great. If you have other paper, that's fine too. We're working into doing larger color still lifes, which we'll do next week. But for today, what I wanted to just demonstrate, you should do this activity after you've done all your value charts. So after you've mixed all your colors from dark to light for the previous homework, for the first homework, then you're going to do this. So you're going to choose 2 of the complementary color relationships. So you can choose red and green. So you'll paint objects that are red and green. You can choose blue and orange, or you can choose yellow and purple. I'm choosing yellow and purple for this demonstration, but again, you can choose either or. Another thing you need to think about is like, what colors do you have? So I made my purple because I didn't have a purple from a tube, but I also had a couple different reds. I had a quinacridine red, which has a little bit more blue to it. So it's like a richer red, like almost going towards magenta, but still pretty pure red. And then I also had a cadmium red, which feels a little bit more like a tomato color. And so what I did was I made 2 different purples. I wanted to show you the difference. When you use different brands, when you use different hues, like a cad red or a quinacridine red, you're going to get different purples when you mix that with a blue. Just like if you have a dark yellow or a light yellow to make an orange, you're going to get different types of oranges. So I'm going to, let's see. Okay, so this is my example here. So what I did, you see a little closer. So this is the quinacridine red. This is the cad red. You can see it almost looks a little orangey in the light, but it's a pretty basic red. But when I mixed it with the blue to make my purple, this is the purple that I got right here. It's really dark. You can kind of see it starts to go towards like a really like rusty purple, almost like a chocolate purple, if that makes sense. And then you can see here with the quinacridine red and the blue, it's a lot closer to like a more general violet that you're used to. So I just wanted to show you that. It doesn't matter which one you use. It doesn't matter if that happens to you. Just go with what you have. It's totally fine. And then this is my yellow that I use. You can see I kind of got it a little dirty. But what I wanted to show you was I made this neutral color. So a purple and a yellow, those are the complementary colors. When you mix those together, you get a neutral tone because it's the 2 colors together. And then I added white. So this is my neutral color. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint the background that color. And that is the only time for this exercise that I will be mixing these 2 colors. The rest of the exercise, you should be only working with purple, white, and black, yellow, white, and black to get those darker colors. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly move this out of the way. So I'm going to add a little water to my neutral color. And I'm just going to spread that across the page. Now, again, you might want to wait for your paper to dry when you put this background in, just so that the rest of your painting doesn't kind of get washed out. So you can kind of let this dry. And if you were using oil paint, I would even suggest you just use a rag and just kind of spread the color around with the rag. So And you can do it with acrylic too, although it dries a little quicker than oil, but this way you're just brushing the excess water off. So now please excuse the shadow right here. I'm so sorry about that. So now you have this really nice neutral ground to start on. And if you're wiping it down with a rag, you kind of wipe off the excess water. So now you can just get right to work. You don't have to wait for it to dry. Okay, and so this is my grapefruit and this is my purple cabbage. So something that you want to think about is the way you organize it. You could cut open the grapefruit. You could peel apart the cabbage leaves, kind of like I did, or you could use a bigger part of the cabbage. Here's a bigger part of the cabbage. You could put that in, but I just decided to do it like this. And I know this is an overhead view, so it looks a little different, but hopefully for the needs of this activity, you can understand what to do. So what you want to do is you want to mix a few shades and tints of yellow and a few shades and tints of purple. So that means mix up a few darker colors of purple, a few lighter colors of purple, and same with the yellow. So you kind of have something to work with. So I'm just kind of organizing my workspace over here. So you can start with a smaller brush and just start by just sketching in your objects. And if you have the matte medium that I think I put on the list, you can use that in this activity because it'll keep your colors wet. You can just squirt a little drop right into the paint, just like a little drop here and there. And you can just keep doing that. It extends the life of the color. Okay, and then if you might even want to try to use two brushes while I'm sketching in, I'll use this brush for my purple, and then so I'm mixing a little bit of my, let me show you, mixing up some of my lighter yellows. So I'm going to use my purple to kind of start to add some of my darker areas of my grapefruit, but I'm not mixing it with the yellow. I'm just going right in there with the purple. And you can also use your palette knife. Now again, this is just a sketch, so it doesn't have, this is just for you to experiment with using your colors. I got a little orange mixed in there. You want to think about texture. How can you show the texture of these natural objects? So that could be that you're using different brush marks. So for example, I'm going to clean off my brush. And I'm just gonna go right in and like lay that paint down. You see it's starting to get a little darker there. You can mix it up with a little black to make it darker. Now again, this is just a painting sketch, so you don't want to spend more than an hour on this. I would say maybe like 45 minutes. Going in the direction of the object. So it's round, my marks are going around. And when that dries, I could even go in and add a little bit more texture because you can kind of see the texture of the grapefruit. And I'm even gonna add a little bit of orange to my yellow to kind of show the change in that, in the fruit, because there is like actually like coming up here is a little orange. So I'm gonna heat up my yellow by heat it up, meaning like change the temperature. So I'm adding a little bit of red to my yellow. So now it's like a deeper kind of tomatoey, starting to be like a tomatoey orange. Okay. And then I can start putting in, now I'm going to use both purples for this, both of the purples that now I'm just kind of generalizing these shapes, these lines. I'm going to go back in with the lighter purple, but I just really want to go in and I want to get these shadows in here with the really dark purple. You can mix in a little black. I just added a little black to this. Make sure you're cleaning your brushes off as you go. I'm notorious for mixing my colors together, so demonstrating these on these videos actually kind of helps me become a more disciplined painter. So this is my really dark purple that I'm going in with. I mix it with a little bit of black. And again, I changed my brush, so I'm getting those bigger marks in there. You kind of want to choose which brush to use based on kind of the size of the shapes that you're putting in. I'm going to add my highlights. And then I also want to start thinking about my lighter purples. Now I'm not mixing any of the colors to, I'm mixing purple and black. I'm mixing purple and white. I'm mixing yellow and white. And I started to put in a little yellow and black. And I also added a little orangey red to get that orangey. But at no time am I mixing purple, white, and black together. I'm not doing that. It's purple and black, purple and white, yellow and black, yellow and white. Okay, so because if you do that, you're just going to get a bunch of grays. I kind of want to stay away from the grays. That's why we put this neutral down. This is our neutral. We're not using gray for a neutral. You can start to see it started to mix there. It just really flattens out the picture. So I'm mixing in, making a little bit more of an orangey yellow. And I'm just going to use my palette knife, you can see I made a little orange and I'm just mixing it in with the yellow. You can kind of, it's still a yellow, it's just a lot warmer. So we're going to talk a little bit about the warms and the cools in class, but that's just a lot deeper of an yellow. And I'm just going to go right in with my palette knife and put that down. And you can start to see that starting to come together. And this neutral background is key to that. Now, something else I would suggest is once this starts to dry a little, and if you have a really fine point brush, I'm going to use this little brush. I'm going to go in and I'm going to really kind of draw a little bit with my paintbrush to kind of get that. Now, if I was a student, I'd be spending a little bit more time like being a little bit more accurate. I'm kind of generalizing here, kind of for the sake of the video, but you can clean your brush off and then go right back in with a really, really light purple. I actually just mixed this purple with white, but you can barely tell it's so white. And that is absolutely fine. You want to kind of come down here and put in those big areas. I'm going to go back in with a bigger brush. I'm going to use this size brush. I'm going to get some more yellow. And you see I'm using my brush to go around so it's not flattening out that shape. I'm going to wet my brush, or you can use a little bit of that of the matte medium. Wet so your paint stays nice and wet. And you could even go in with the bottom of your brush if you want to add some texture, and you can just draw the marks, scraping the marks out. So you see that is one way you can add texture. You have a toothpick. Because when you look really close at this fruit, it's really, really textured. And sometimes it's not as like concentrated. Sometimes it's a little more diffuse. So then you can go back in and kind of mute some of that out, but it starts to give okay, so this is a great start, I think. Hopefully this is helpful. And let's see. So here, I just wanted to show you what my palette situation is looking like. I mixed big. So I actually had 2 pieces of paper. These are my yellows and these are my purples. So you can see I actually had 2 pieces of paper from my palette paper, kind of so they don't get mixed up. But however you choose to do it is absolutely fine. And we will go over this in class. Good luck.